I declare the meeting open and I bid you, Mr. Antonio Machoche, most heartily welcome. You may now give a brief exposition of your research, of your reasons for having undertaken it, and of course, of the results it yielded.
Mr. Director, Magnificus, thank you for giving me the floor. I'll begin my presentation with a brief background of the research, followed by the research objectives, analytical framework, and the main research questions. This will be followed by an overview of the research methodology, and finally I will detail the findings and give concluding reflections on decentralization in Mozambique. Background of the research. To begin with, it is important to recognize that decentralization in Mozambique took place due to central state failure in service delivery and due to pressure from donors such as the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. The decentralization process, framed in the Local Government Act of 1997, formulated a gradual transfer of power, responsibilities, and resources to municipalities. It is in this context that I conducted my research to find out about the implementation of the Local Government Act and whether it had resulted in improved service delivery coverage since 1998. This study was conducted in 5 Mozambican municipalities, namely Matola, Manisa, Dondo, Natal Porto, and Chimoio. The reasons for selecting these municipalities are explained below. Research objectives. The research objectives of this study are: first, to assess the extent to which the new Mozambican municipalities improved service delivery coverage and which factors help to explain this. And second, to find out if capacity building initiatives from central government, donors, and NGOs to municipalities are addressing the weaknesses constraining municipalities to improve their service delivery capacity. Having given the contextual background and research objectives, I will now discuss the analytical framework. With regard to the study's analytical framework, I take into account that for improvements in service delivery coverage, there are political factors and local government capacities that play an important role. The political factors are leadership, influence of political parties in decision making, and local government institutional setup. And local government capacities are capacity to plan and make decisions, capacity to manage human and financial resources, and capacity to convene other actors. Due to time constraints, I will focus on a few more important. Effective leadership. The study acknowledges that the personal characteristics of an effective leadership are vision, innovation, strength, and charisma. Hayden stresses on leadership respect for the public realm, ability to be transparent and adhere to the rule of law, I give an analogy here of a fish that perishes from its head down to indicate the relevance of leadership in organizations. This is to explain how leadership can be important in influencing good governance in the municipality studied, although it can also be detrimental to it. With regards to what it refers to, Elcock argues that leadership sets values that subordinates have to follow, while Leach and Wilson assert that it maintains cohesiveness, develops strategy and policy direction, and represents the authority externally. Concerning the influence of political parties in decision-making as a second factor, it is relevant to stress that, according to Stoker, ideology and partisanship affect attitudes towards goals and objectives of local government. In addition, political party competition and participation are 2 important factors that distinguish regimes, according to Bratton and Wade. The absence of political party competition and participation may limit the possibility of voters to get rid of ineffective leaders due to lack of a competing party alternative. Other than the leadership and influence of politics in decision making, I'll now discuss the capacity to plan and make decisions. According to Drata in Garden, the pertinent question is not to do things right at the planning stage, but to find the right things to do. So a local development plan, which is a collectively supported vision, can help find those things. A good example of an effective capacity to plan is that of participatory planning and budgeting process developed in Porto Alegre. The study also recognizes that there must be a linkage between planning and budgeting so that policies can be translated into effective results. An effective capacity to plan and make decisions using participatory approaches to governance is an effective means to address local needs. It gives legitimacy to local government decision-making process and results. The role of capacity building initiatives. The effectiveness of capacity building initiatives being provided by central government, donors and NGOs is the second main question of the study. For capacity building initiatives to be successful, there must be ownership of programs by recipients. A major shortcoming, a major shortcoming that contributes to the failure of capacity building programs is lack of adequate instruments to measure, monitor, and evaluate them. According to Misrai, Morgan, and the World Bank report of 1998, other shortcomings that contributed to the failure of past capacity building programs were the piecemeal nature of reforms, lack of political will, commitment, and leadership, short-term projects for training individuals, without taking into consideration the larger organizational and institutional context. Reforms not focused on behavioral issues, strong dependency on donors and foreign experts, and the destructive donors' practices. Having given an overview of the analytical framework, I will now focus on the research questions and methodology. Main research questions. To what extent are the Mozambican municipalities assuming their new responsibilities and functions to improve basic service delivery coverage? What factors explain differences in performance? What are the capacity building initiatives being provided by central government, donors, and non-governmental organizations to local government? And to what extent do they respond to capacity building needs of municipalities? Research methodology. For research methodology, the study used both qualitative and quantitative methods. Quantitative methods were only to make observations more explicit and to aggregate, compare, and summarize data concerning service delivery. A survey questionnaire was delivered to 15 officials in each of the 5 municipalities studied. Regarding qualitative data, the study made use of bibliographic and secondary data research, semi-structured interviews conducted with 20 households in each of the 5 municipalities, and an ethnographic observation during fieldwork in 2007 to 2008. With regards to data analysis, the study used a variable and case-oriented comparative analysis to find similarities and differences in local government political factors and capacities for service delivery coverage in the municipality study. The study also compared and investigated if the capacity building programs delivered to these municipalities by central government, donors, and NGOs were addressing municipal needs. Criteria and reasons for selecting the municipality study. Now I'll discuss the criteria and reasons for selecting the municipality study. All 5 municipalities cover the country's 3 major regions: South, Matola and Manisa, Center, Dondo and Chimoio, and North, Natal. Major capacity building initiatives take place in them, and they are of different municipal categories, size, and levels of development. Namely, Category B, Matola, the most developed; Category C, Chimoio, a provincial capital; Category D, Dondo, a small city, and Natal, the 4th major Mozambican city; and Manisa, the poorest of all of them, a small town. This selection illustrates the diversity of municipalities in Mozambique, except the municipality of Maputo, the only one in Category A. This municipality would demand a study of its own. Most importantly, coming to their findings, I will discuss service delivery in the municipality study. I looked at local government reports to map service delivery coverage improvements since 1998, and I asked households to express their satisfaction with service delivery coverage. These two sources of data helped me to rank the 5 municipalities studied. The findings show that Dondo performed better than all other 5 municipalities in service delivery. It is followed by Matola and Manisa. Nakala, Port, and Chimoio failed in service delivery coverage. I will now discuss the factors explaining success and failure in service delivery in Matola and Dondo. The role of leadership in Matola. There were improvements in service delivery coverage in Matola mainly due to the following factors. Ineffective leadership, which was intellectual. The mayor, who was innovative, had political will and commitment to respond to his local community demands. There was ineffective application of rules and regulations regarding procurement, and the municipal assembly held the mayor and the municipal council accountable. With regards to local government capacities, there was ineffective administration and improvements in financial management. Dondo presents two different sides of service delivery coverage. One which is successful with donors' funds, and another one which is a failure with local government-owned funds. Successful service delivery with donors' funds. Political factors. There was a coerced and effective leadership. There was an effective application of rules and regulations regarding procurement. But the mayor and the municipal council were not accountable to the municipal assembly, to which they must be by law. With regards to local government capacities, there was a successful participatory budgeting process and an efficient administration and financial management only with donors' funds. And there was local community involvement in setting priorities for project selection, and this was possible due to the massive donor support from the Austrian Cooperation Agency and the World Bank. On the other hand, there was a failure in the management of local government-owned financial resources and consequently failure in service delivery for the following reasons. The same effective leadership with donors' funds was ineffective with local government-owned funds. There was deliberate failure in the application of rules and regulations regarding procurement. With regards to local government capacities, the same efficient administration and financial management personnel with donors' funds was ineffective with local government-owned funds, and there was no involvement of local communities in decision-making. As concluding reflections, the findings show that the donors came and local leadership in Dondo indicate that although there were considerable improvements in service delivery coverage, donors were weakening the municipal council financial management and accountability to the municipal assembly. And there is lack of political party competition and participation in the Mozambican municipalities. Moreover, there is central government resistance to change due to fear of the unknown and the tendency to preserve the current status quo. And finally, financial decentralization to local government has become decentralization of corruption. Thank you very much.